The Interpreter, from the Mind Unbuilt, Part 6, by the Mercer Journal. The gate has been named, the moment when the second eye signal and the first eye narrative diverge, and something decides which one the system follows. Episode 5 ended with a promise. Genuine change produces not updated beliefs, but a different interpreter. Episode 6 is where that promise gets examined. One clarification before proceeding. This article is about what appears to happen when genuine revision occurs, not a prescription for producing it. The series remains descriptive. Why identity resists change. Before describing what changes, name why change is so difficult and why that difficulty is structurally accurate rather than irrational. Identity is not a collection of independent claims. It is a load-bearing structure. The elements of a self-model don't sit side by side independently. They support each other. One concession doesn't revise one belief. It trembles the whole. The system's resistance to revision is not defensiveness or weakness. It is accurate structural perception. The architecture knows below the threshold of deliberate awareness what a genuine revision would cost. This is why identity revision is slow, difficult, and genuinely threatening. Not because people are broken, because the system is working correctly. The transitional state. During genuine revision, when the gate opens and the right begins accumulating, the receiver has no coherent self-object for an indeterminate period. Describe it first before naming it. The familiar self-story has been destabilized. The new structure has not yet consolidated. The system is operating without the anchor it always had, and it pushes hard toward any resolution that closes the loop, including false ones. Premature closure is the primary failure mode of identity revision. The story reassembles too quickly around whatever is most available, which is usually a variation of what is already there. This condition has been described by many names. One is groundlessness. Genuine revision requires tolerating the open loop long enough for second eye signal to settle into something true rather than something convenient. This is where ambiguity tolerance becomes the structural prerequisite, not a personality trait, not a virtue, but the functional capacity to sustain an unresolved state long enough for accurate signal to complete its work. The first eye redeemed. Episode 5 named the first eye as both obstacle and instrument. Episode 6 is where the instrument side gets its full treatment. The first eye is where values live, where future projection happens, where the recognition forms, not just that something has been caught by the second eye, but that what has been caught matters, that it differs from what should be, that something can be done about it. The second eye provides the data. The first eye is what cares about the data. This is the functional sequence of genuine change. Second eye catches accurate signal. Gate stays open. First eye receives what surfaced and recognizes its significance. First eye initiates, decides, arranges conditions, steps back. Not forcing the right, creating the conditions under which the right can occur. The first eye doesn't change the receiver directly. It engineers the experiences that pass through the second eye repeatedly. Those experiences do the writing. The first eye's job is to make the right experiences available. The phase transition. When sufficient writing accumulates, when the new structure has been written deeply enough, something non-linear occurs. Not gradual update, not incremental belief revision, a global interior reorganization. The person doesn't emerge with different views, they emerge as a different interpreter. Same signals, different outputs, because the receiver itself has been restructured at the depth where conversion happens. This explains a precise and otherwise puzzling phenomenon, why people who undergo genuine change often report that they can't fully remember being the person they were before. Not amnesia, the memories are there, but the memories are now being processed by a different receiver. The old self isn't lost, it's being read by someone else. It also explains why many approaches to change plateau, not because they fail, but because they work at the output layer. They change what the receiver produces at the surface without reaching the sediment that generates the outputs. They work until they hit the depth where actual structure lives, then they stop. People conclude they are broken rather than the method reached its limit. In closing, the interpreter changes when the receiver changes, not the surface outputs, the conversion function itself. The same signals arrive differently because the structure they pass through has been restructured at the sediment layer. The world did not change, the interpreter did. And from the interpreter's perspective, that is almost the same thing. The Mercer Journal is an independent reader-supported platform. You can back our work at ko-fi.com/WEMercer. That's ko-fi.com/WEMERCER. And thanks for listening.